Welcome back, fellow Dream Warriors, to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Zeztz, episode 12. So, our story begins with Baku, our Dream Warrior, Dream Master, whichever you prefer. He is now playing the role of an astronaut, temporarily. You see the first scene, Baku, in his astronaut outfit drifting into space, while at the same time he is with this kid named Seiya. They're both talking, and Seiya is a little boy who wants to be an astronaut because he loves space. This is where Baku tells Seiya that, anything is possible in the world of dreams. You can do it. I believe in you, that sort of thing. And then we end up realizing that they're under a simulation, if you will, because they come out and you see both boys wearing astronaut uniforms. They were dressed all in blue. And you discover that, yes, they're still in Dream World, but they're in a space center. So they were playing astronaut in some simulation and whatnot. And you see our beloved Nem once again, and she is playing the role of a staff member who works in the space center. All of a sudden, you hear this alarm saying that evacuate the building, meteor is coming, please evacuate, this is an emergency, a meteor is coming. We get to the next scene with the opening, after the opening credits, and you see Baku, dressed in, his spy outfit, and he looked like he was about to use the capsium, the barrier capsium. So his plan was to use the capsum to protect the space center from the meteor that's coming. But before he could use it, Nox appeared and he shoots the capsum right out of Baku's hand. And what's strange about it is that after Nox shoots the capsum out of Baku's hand, you see this weird, evil-looking spirit that comes out from the capsum itself. And Baku turns around and stares at Nox like, what the hell did you just do? Like, what the hell is this? And Nox, with his anonymous, evil talk, evil speech, says, you have no idea of the horror the capsum represents. And then all of a sudden, the dark spirit went inside the capsule, and you see a meteor destroy a satellite. And that was it. After that encounter, Baku, meets up with Nem and Seiya and, all the other people. And there's still more meteors coming to crash on Earth. And this guy appears, the scientist, whoever, shows up and says, you only have 48 hours, 2 days before the meteor comes crashing into Earth, leading to humanity's extinction. So Baku has 48 hours to come up with a plan to protect not only the space station, but also the entire world. And so he wakes up from Dream World. He returns to the real world. And as we all know, whatever happens in Dream World happens in the real world. So we see something in the news that apparently something destroyed this satellite. And what's strange about that is that you assume that if there's like a meteor, asteroid, you would see that there's going to be a giant space rock in the middle of the crater, right? Wrong. In this case, there's a crater, but there's no space rock. So Mulder and Scully and Baku were discussing it in the spy office. And of course, thanks to Mr. Sherlock Obvious and Mulder, he's like, it's a black case. It's a nightmare at work. But this is where Baku decided to tell Mulder about Odaka and how he is Nox, the agent that helps the nightmares. And as he is telling this to Mulder, you could already tell that he is refusing what Baku is saying to him, that there's no way in hell that his old partner, Odaka, is helping the nightmares. He says that I refuse to believe you. He is a righteous man. He will never join the enemy. I know him. Because of that, we go to a flashback 3 years ago with Mulder and, Odaka, and how Odaka presented him with a drawing of this said nightmare at the time that, hey, I dreamt, about this creature that I drew for you. These nightmares are real and whatnot. And the conversation wasn't as serious because it was, look, I saw this creature here. Let's make a bet. If this creature is real, you're going to have to buy me a drink for a year. So they placed a bet towards each other about, okay, who's going to buy each other drinks and food and whatnot. And then we go back from the flashback. Mulder refuses to believe, like I said, and there's 2 awkward moments, and that was it. Because Mulder was about to say Scully's name, but Scully said that name is only for family. He called her by another name, and then as he was about to leave, he opened the door, the right side of the door, and never opened. He just pulled and it was locked, and we have another awkward moment, and then he opened the right door and he leaves, and Scully follows right behind. And poor Baku, he's like, oh man, this is so awkward. Maybe I shouldn't have told him the truth, but I mean, it needed to be said, Baku. Don't blame yourself. Anyways, Mulder and Scully leave, and they go to the space station. And Mulder's hypothesis, he said, well, okay, so it's a work of a nightmare. It's the black case. I think the dreamer has to be one of the staff members. So his plan right now is to go in there and find the dreamer, aka the worker who works at the space station, or space center. But it's like a needle in a haystack. Are you gonna question every single employee in that center? Probably so. And so this is where Scully asks Mulder, do you regret not believing in Odaka sooner? And this is where Mulder said that, yes, I do regret it. Not in those words, but he does regret not believing in Odaka from the very beginning. If he would have, then maybe his old partner would still be around, and, things might have been different. And so, he regrets not believing in him, and he would have realized the danger that he was in. But the thing is, like, even if he did believe Otaka, like, how would he help? And I figured he would have helped the same way he's helping Baku right now. So yes, he is feeling the regret of not believing in him in the first time. But Mulder, to be fair, I'm sure everybody would have been in your shoes in not believing that, hey, these such creatures, they're not real. They're just make-believe. They're just nightmares. Like, yeah, like everybody would have taken what you have, felt like, yeah, like, I think you need help or something. Like, I can't believe that these nightmares are real. I mean, everybody would have felt the same way, but he is blaming himself for not believing the first time. And speaking of believing, Scully has now become a believer. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. So we go back to Baku, and he is letting Nox's words affect his mind about the capsules being evil and whatnot. And he goes to the machine, and he tries to get a new capsule. But this time, a new capsule hasn't appeared. This causes Baku to go a little bit of a panic, like, wait a minute, how come today I didn't get a new capsule? What the hell is going on? And Zero shows up. He says fortune won't always be on your side. And he's right. Like, I wish Zero would have just approached me too and be like, hey, you know, we all play gacha games in our lives, right? Once in our lives. And you have this streak, and then all of a sudden the streak becomes broken because you got the wrong character, and be like, hey, what the hell? And, you know, I wish I had my own Zero be telling me like, hey, you know, fortune may not smile on me every single time. And not only that, just to continue, Zero adds to remind Baku that this spy room is created by his own subconsciousness. The capsules are influenced by his own mental state. And this is where Zero suggests to Baku, why not do something with the items you have first? And Baku's like, that's what I was going to do, Zero. And that look on his face is like, He was disappointed to hear that, but, you know, he's right, you know. So after listening to what Zero had to say, he goes to the Cosmo Elementary School, because if you remember back in Dream World, Seiya told Baku that, you know, his name, and he comes from this school. So he goes to that school to see Seiya, only to witness, you know, the poor kid making fun of by two kids, and about, you know, there's a meteor coming, and of course two kids are laughing at him. And then after that, he approaches the boy and asks, do you remember him? And the boy says no. And then we quickly go to transition to him crossing the street and nearly gotten hit by the white truck of doom. But thanks to Baku's quick thinking, he uses the barrier capsule to, you know, protect the boy from being hit by the white truck of doom. But this is weird, because after using it, you see this dark, evil smoke coming out from the capsule, and Baku is just looks at it, stares at it, like, what the hell is going on? Like, I never seen this thing before, and this only happened after Nox, you know, shot at the capsule. But in any case, he didn't think twice, because he just went back to check on Seiya to make sure he's okay. And this is where, after repeating the dream speech from the dream world, this is where Seiya is like, hey, yeah, I do remember you from my dream. And this is where we get this funniest moment. The boy says, hey, yeah, I remember you. And Baku's all excited, like, yes, you know, you remember me. And then all of a sudden he gets hit by a baseball. And yes, the curse once again strikes again. Yeah, he gets hit by a baseball bat on the head, and he gets knocked out. So we go to the next scene. Baku comes to, and he wakes up to not only Seiya, but also Minami in this park. After he comes to, he gets an earful from his sister, and then we get the scene about Seiya, you know, saying that, hey, the meteor is coming to Earth in 2030, to I love space. And then we have a little bit of I will never make it as an astronaut. But of course, Baku saying like, no, never say never. You know, if you dream it, it will happen. You know, that positive talk. And then the scene ends with Seiya telling Baku that it all began where he went to a planetarium when he was a little boy, and that's where his love of being in outer space, becoming an astronaut, came to be. which causes Baku to be like, oh, okay, I think I found the mine's door. So in the next scene, you see Baku running towards the apartment building because, he believes that he found the mine's doors. And Minami was like, wait a minute, why are you, returning home? And what's up with this thing of, going to sleep early? And Baku's like, hey, kids get to sleep early. And Minami is like, what? That's your answer? I mean, that's for little kids. You're an adult. Like, what the hell? So Baku is fast asleep. Minami enters his room and she's like, wow, the moment you hit the bed, you're knocked out cold. Like, damn. And this is the moment, guys, that I honestly thought that this scene wouldn't happen until later into the season. But guess what? It happened. So after Baku went fast asleep, Minami made the decision of opening the closet door, and she just looks around and be like, well, this closet is an ordinary closet, until she notices something out of place in the closet, and she pulls the thing down, causing the wall to unlock the door leading up to the spy room. And then we get a quick transition to Zero holding a special capsule. And he says, I can't give this capsule to Baku just yet because it's too soon. I don't know if he's ready for it yet. And then you hear the door opening up, and Zero assumed that it was Baku, but instead it was Minami. And Zero made the perfect reaction. He turns around, stares at Minami, and he said, oh my. Oh my. That was the first words that came out of Zero's mouth. And Minami, you have to give credit when credit is due, because normally two things happen. Either someone looking at Zero will be like screaming and yelling because, out of fear, to excitement because there's a live Autobot right here. And Minami just stood her ground, all calm. She didn't really say anything. Zero pretty much assumed that, okay, this is awkward, and I know you want an explanation of the spy room and me. And Minami is like, yeah, you damn right, like, I want an explanation. And Zero, the way Zero started the conversation is, your brother is on a secret mission, which shocks Minami. And that's how the scene ends there. So meanwhile, as Minami and Zero were having this talk, that should have happened much later on, in my opinion, we go to the dream world where Baku, Minami, and Zero go to the planetarium, assuming that Baku has found the doors. But instead, they couldn't find it. They couldn't find the doors in the planetarium. Instead, they get an alert saying that a meteor is coming. A meteor is coming. Please evacuate right away. Baku leaves the planetarium and notices that the meteors are aiming for the space station. So, Nem, Zero, Baku drove to the space center, and they meet up with Nox. And Nox is pissed off. I keep telling you warnings, kid, and you don't listen. You don't heed my warnings. And Baku, responds with, well, I have a mission to complete. I have no choice. And then Nox says, that's what an agent does. Don't you find it strange that a mission where stakes are humanity itself, yet they leave it to a civilian like you? Doesn't code seem irrational? And then Baku adds, well, code is made up in my dreams. Then Nox reveals the truth that no, code is very real, and it's operating in the real world. Ever since he was born, which shocks Baku and everybody else. And I would think that Baku would have turned around and stared at Zero and be like, Zero, like, is there something you're not telling me? Because I would have been upset if I were Baku. I would have been so upset that Zero neglected some important pieces of information. I'll be like, Zero, I'll be yelling and screaming like, what the hell is going on? I thought code was something that I made up in my dreams. And I have this guy who says that no, code is very much real. And it's not in your dreams. It's operating in the real world as a real spy organization. But in any case, Nox transforms into Nox Knight, and we see, Baku versus Nox, and you already know that Nox is getting the upper hand. He is the skill agent, and Baku's getting his ass kicked, and during the fight, Nox destroys the barrier capstan, which releases, this evil, black smoke. And in its place, it created this monstrous form of Zeztz barrier and decides to attack Baku. And he doesn't understand, like, what the hell is this? But according to Nox, this being is a nightmare. So you see it attacking Baku for a while until Nox diverted its attention to himself and destroys the nightmare. And the episode ends with capsules are the power to make bad dreams come true. And that's how the episode ends. So this episode, we get the introduction of Nox Knight. And Nox is, reveals that Code is actually a real spy organization. Minami discovering the spy room and Zero, and Mulder, getting the news that, hey, Odaka is alive, but he is under the alias of Nox. Nox is helping the nightmares. And, Mulder refuses to believe so. And Scully is now a believer. And to finish off, Mulder is having regrets for not believing in his partner's, situation with the nightmares and whatnot. And yeah, and also with the capsules. The capsules are, this thing where, according to Nox, they are, nightmares trapped in these balls. So yeah, Zero, you have an awful lot of explaining to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if Baku comes in the spy room all angry and be like, Zero, what? You've been neglecting information from me. What the hell? Yeah, Zero has a lot of explaining to do. But in any case, guys, give me your thoughts and opinions about this episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did I miss anything? Even though I have my notes in front of me, I may have missed a couple of things here and there. And give me your thoughts and opinions about the eventual encounter between Minami and the discovery of the spy room and Zero. Do you think it's too soon, or do you think it was just right, that this is the right moment for her to get involved? For me, to me, it was just too soon. I'd much rather her be, oblivious to it and then stumble across the room and Zero, like in the middle of the 20s, heading into the early 30s. That's what I thought it would happen, but Yuya has decided, hey, let's have her discover the room and Zero this early in the game, which I believe it's just a mistake, but that's just my opinion. And the more we get close to the Christmas episode of Who's Gonna Die, I get this feeling, again, everything points to Mulder. And who's going to kill Mulder? I get this feeling it has to be Nox. Nox has to be the one to kill Mulder. Yes, he has to be the one. Because, Mulder is in this belief that Okata, aka Nox, is helping the enemy. And then once, he sees Nox, aka, Okata, for the first time after how many years, and be like helping the enemy, this is where Mulder's like, that's not you. You can't be my old partner. And, Nox would be like, well, the man that you knew that was your partner is no more. My name is Nox. And then maybe he ends up shooting, Mulder as, yeah, I'm not your partner. Your old partner will never shoot at you. And that's how he dies in Christmas. That's how I'm setting it up here. I strongly believe that Nox will pull the trigger and kill Mulder temporarily on Christmas. That's my assumption. But yeah, I will start rambling, so might as well end the episode of Riderpiece here. So yeah, give me your thoughts about who's gonna die on Christmas. Is it Mulder, Nox, Nem maybe? I hardly doubt it's Nem, but yeah. So yeah, give me your thoughts and opinions. Give it a like if you like it. And please subscribe. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!